Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Orange County School Board's regularly scheduled meeting for Tuesday, October 11th, 2022. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. All board members, I'm happy to say, are here present, and it's wonderful to have the entire board with us, so it's good to see everyone. I also want to remind the public that board members will not be engaging in outside electronic or digital communication during the meeting so that we can focus our entire attention on the matters in front of us. So if you're trying to reach one of us by email, we obviously won't be getting that email for a little while. To my fellow board members, district staff, and members of the public, when speaking, please speak directly into your microphone. Make sure it is turned on and speak directly into it so that our YouTube viewers and Orange TV viewers can hear you. And before we start our meeting, as we always do with a moment of silence, I wanted to read a resolution, in honor of our Chief Information Officer, Robert Curran, who passed away on September 20th, 2022. In honor of Chief Information Officer Robert Curran, whereas Robert Curran honorably led the Information Technology Services Division for Orange County Public Schools as the Chief Information Officer for more than 3 years. Whereas Robert was an Orlando native who acquired over 30 years of experience managing technology. And whereas he started his career by serving nearly 8 years in the United States Air Force before joining the private sector. Whereas he joined Seminole County Public Schools as the Supervisor of Application Development in 2000. And whereas he was hired by Orange County Public Schools as Director of Applications in 2007. Whereas his leadership abilities were given an opportunity to flourish in 2010 when he became the Chief Information Officer of Colorado Springs School District. Whereas missing home, he returned to his Florida roots by serving as the Chief Information Officer for the School District of Osceola County in 2016. Whereas in 2019, Robert returned to Orange County Public Schools to lead this district in the familiar but constantly changing and challenging role of Chief Information Officer. And whereas he oversaw ITS as it expanded the one-to-one digital program, improved the district's security stance and the reliability of our network as schools became more and more dependent upon digital instruction. And whereas he oversaw the largest single deployment of laptops ever undertaken by OCPS during the pandemic. And whereas Robert led approximately 120 employees as a culture-focused leader who demonstrated kindness and compassion that permeated the division. And whereas he was a quiet but fierce advocate for our students who gave regularly and generously to efforts aimed at student success. And whereas Robert strongly encouraged his teams to follow his lead, especially during annual OCPS Gives campaigns. And whereas he demonstrated national leadership through the Council of Great City Schools CIO working group. And whereas Robert's excellence was recognized as a finalist for the Orby Awards 2022 Florida CIO of the Year in the Large Enterprise category. And whereas Robert was a loyal colleague and a friend to all he served in ITS and throughout Orange County Public Schools. Whereas everyone who knew him has a story to share about Robert's warm and unassuming manner and his big heart. Whereas as a loving husband, father, grandfather, Robert's legacy in OCPS is indelible. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the School Board of Orange County does hereby proclaim its profound gratitude to Robert Curran for his service to Orange County Public Schools and offer our comfort to his family on their loss. Passed and adopted by the School Board of Orange County on the 11th of October, 2022. Well, Beth, I got through that. That's something. Beth Curran is here with us. Beth is Robert's wife. And for those of you who don't know, Beth works here for Orange County Public Schools. She handles all of our benefits in HR. And they were quite a powerful team. Okay, well, my story was, and then we'll move on. My story was I was brand new, And the ITS team sent out one of those all-user emails. It's an email that goes to everybody that works in Orange County Public Schools. And there's all-user 1 and all-user 2. I think they directed it to me because it seemed to be focused towards teachers, and I wasn't a teacher, so I thought maybe there's 2 Teresa Jacobs. So I wrote back to whoever the sender was. I'm sorry, I think you might have the wrong email address. I'm not a teacher. I'm new to the school board. And then I was flooded with responses because it turned out that I thought all user 1 was the name of one person who worked at Orange County Public Schools.
I remember that.
You remember that? Yes. So I got lots of emails from people wishing me well, telling me that they were aware of my position. A couple of them figured out that it wasn't me just trying to promote myself, but in fact, I just messed up. Their new school board chair didn't know how to use email very well. But the email that I got from Robert Curran was so sweet and so understanding, and then he came up and he met with me and he went through the whole process, and I never made that mistake again. But anyway, we all have a story, and Robert really did touch the lives of everyone he worked with, and he changed the culture. And that should be his legacy. So let's hear from, let me hear from our vice chair.
I was just going to say I have a similar thing. I used, you know how they would do the tests, you send out the test email, or you just get phishing emails anyway. Well, he was so good at training about the phishing emails, and it drove him crazy, I know, but I would always send, I would so scared to open anything that I would just send it to him and say, Robert, I got this email. I'm not sure what to do with it. Is this okay? And he'd respond back, yes, this one's good. You can open it. You can read it. Or no, good catch. And, like a cheerleader. He was always so sweet. Great job, Member Bird. You caught a phishing email. We're proud of you or whatever. So every time I get an email, I always felt like, it was my duty to send it to him to see if it was the right one. And then if I get a good response back and I caught one, I'd be so proud. But he had that way of making you feel like, you just did such a good job. Such a wonderful, caring man. And he will definitely be missed.
Dr. Vasquez.
Well, at least you didn't click on the email. Robert's job was to tell me that I got caught by one of the phishing emails. But truly had a beautiful celebration of life. Just hearing things that we knew about him and things that we didn't know about him. It was just wonderful to see the incredible turnout. Just a small portion of the number of people who he touched. And he will definitely be missed.
All right. I'm going to ask you if you would join us in a moment of silence. I will tell you my thoughts and prayers will go towards Beth and the family. And then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. And now for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Beth, before we begin, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you want to say anything? Okay. Pardon me? Of course, no. I wouldn't either. I couldn't either. All right, so good evening, and thank you all for joining us this evening. This is our first meeting since the hurricane, and I don't know about y'all, but that seems like weeks ago, and yet it seems like yesterday. So to anyone here who has suffered damage or is still suffering from the storm. I'm terribly sorry, and we hope that you're back to normal soon. I am so proud of the district. Member Felder just talked about it earlier, but I'm so proud of our superintendent and her team and their ability to shift an entire elementary school in a matter of 3 days to a high school. Enormously proud of the teamwork, all the way from the superintendent to the principal, who I think might be here with us tonight, to the students and the teachers. But the students, I'm so proud of those students. I hope most of you saw that, but our students at the high school wanted to make sure those kids felt welcome. They wanted to help decorate their rooms so that they would feel like a elementary school room. They had the cheerleaders out there welcoming them with their pom-poms. The football players came out and made a tunnel for the kids to walk through. So anyway, the good news is sometimes you can really turn a tragedy into a triumph, and I think this was a great example. Before we take up tonight's business, we have some recognitions that I'd like to acknowledge. First, we're delighted to have with us special guests from Cirrhosis of Orlando Women's Club, and I hope I'm saying that right. If not, I hope you will correct me. The organization created a foundation for Orange County Public Schools Scholarship Fund with an initial contribution of $500,000 last year, $500,000. The funds will provide college scholarships to OCPS high school seniors who meet certain criteria, including graduation from high school in Orange County, plans to attend an accredited college or university, and a scholastic rank and GPA in the upper half of their class. The fund has already begun to give out scholarships. 5 high school seniors received $2,400 each this spring. The students are Shauna Fensler and Howard Franklin from Edgewater High. I don't think the students are with us, but if they are, please stand up. Evan Wen from Lake Nona High, Michael Lagesse from Legacy High Charter School, and Paul Ramos from Winter Park High. The Cirrhosis of Orlando Women's Club has been in the City Beautiful for nearly 130 years, and the selected name, Cirrhosis, they selected that name because it means sisterhood in Latin, which I think is just beautiful. The board and I would like to thank the Cirrhosis of Orlando's Women's Club for their generous gift. And I would like to invite the Foundation for Orange County Public Schools Executive Director, Deborah, I'm sorry, I know your name.
Pedraza.
I was working so hard on getting the other ones right. Debbie, to tell us more about the contribution.
Thank you, Chair Jacobs, and school board members, Superintendent Vasquez, and family and friends. It is a real honor to stand before you today and introduce our speaker from Cirrhosis of Orlando Women's Club. I have to share with you that this gift came about very, very quickly. These are ladies who know what they want and they know what they're doing. So I got a phone call in the spring of 2021 with Susan Piner, who I'll be bringing up in just a moment. And she asked me just a few questions. Would we be able to handle a scholarship fund? I explained what we could do. She said, wonderful. Come and visit with our group and answer their questions. So Elise Breath, who was our foundation board chair at the time, and I went at a lovely afternoon meeting with the ladies, and very shortly thereafter, they had made their decision. They were ready to go. So by June, we had the gift in hand, and it is one of the single largest gifts that the foundation has received from any organization that's not a corporation or a foundation, where it's not a grant. So we are extremely grateful for this generous support. We have several ladies in the audience with us who I believe Susan's going to introduce, but let me turn the podium over to Susan Piner.
Thank you. Ms. Piner, welcome and thank you.
Well, good afternoon. We thank you for this opportunity to tell our story. I'm Susan Piner, First Vice President of Cirrhosis of Orlando Women's Club, and I'm pleased to introduce our members here today. The President, Susan Barco, our Treasurer, Gwen Wallace, Secretary, Barbara Meeker, and past Secretary Jane Barry. Cirrhosis, which means sisterhood to us, not a club for women with liver disease,
Yes, thank you.
has been serving Orlando since 1893. We started with 10 women meeting in homes as a study group and evolved into a lending library, the first in Orlando. In 1922, they donated their collection to the newly established Albertson Public Library, and in 1949, purchased the first bookmobile for the library. We have been awarding scholarships to Orange County High School seniors since 1927. And with this donation, our legacy will continue well after we are gone. In 1972, Cirrhosis opened the clubhouse at 501 East Livingston Street. The beautiful setting with full stage and tea room was a popular place for wedding receptions and business gatherings. We hosted monthly bridge games for a nominal fee, which included lunch prepared by our members. We funded the overhead of our large building with rentals to local groups, some of whom met weekly. Then, with the onset of COVID-19, our funds shrank to nothing, and the rentals ceased. It was with heavy hearts that the membership agreed to sell the building. Although it was very traumatic, the sale produced $1.1 million, which has enabled us to continue our philanthropic work and leave a lasting legacy, thus establishing our $500,000 scholarship with the Orange County Public Schools. We also funded a $200,000 scholarship fund with the General Federation of Women's Club of Florida to help women who are returning to the workplace, and we have plans for more endowments. In the beginning, 10 women met in their homes. Now, 12 of us meet in restaurants. The future may be uncertain, but we are certain that we made a difference. Thank you very much for your recognition.
Ms. Piner, do you want to bring your group up so we can take a picture with them?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Don't walk away just yet. Let me hear from Member Colbert.
Ladies, I have been to that building many, many times. League of Women Voters met there for many, many years. There's a Rotary Club that met there. So I've been to that building and have so many fond memories. But this just feels deeply personal to me because I was the first in my family to go to college and graduate from college. And part of the reason that I got to do that was from scholarships, from Women's Club, from my hometown. There's a pilot club. And we had in high school, we had our service club was the Anchor Club. It was sort of an offshoot of that. But it was because of women like you and what you're doing tonight that I got my education, and that education is so important to me. It's one of the reasons that I'm sitting here. So from the bottom of my heart and all the students that you are going to help, thank you.
Thank you, Member Colbert. Member Castor-Dental.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just wanted to say thank you, too. This was
so unexpected, but amazingly appreciated. And I know that the students will benefit so much from this. This is so generous, and I appreciate the investment that you're going to continue to make in our students. And Debbie, thank you for having such a well-run foundation that our community members trust you to manage, the funds, because that's a big gift and that's a lot of trust they have. And so thank you for having that reputation in our community. I appreciate that. It helps everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Gould.
Never doubt a small group of citizens can make a difference because it's the only thing that ever has. That's one of my favorite quotes from Margaret Mead. And it is quite obvious that you all have a huge imprint from your forebears and what you're going to do now with these funds that are in the foundation for long to come. So thank you so much for what you do today and the difference it'll make tomorrow.
Member Felder.
Thank you. I've been to your beautiful building on several occasions. My cousin had a wedding reception in your building, and I used to see that little building. I say, oh, that's a cute little building. What's going on there? But for women, they say a man works from sun to sun, but a woman's work is never done. Even after you're gone, the residual effects of what you have started will last. And sitting on a board with women, how could we not be appreciative and very thankful for your benevolence? Thank you so very, very much. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Felder. Ms. Piner, thank you so much for sharing the story, because there are people who have a lot of money and they give that money easily. Your organization sacrificed something. You gave up that building. And you said you think that it will have an effect after you're gone. It will most definitely have an effect. There's an old proverb, I don't know where it came from, but it says that if you want to touch the past, touch a rock. If you want to touch the present, touch a flower. If you want to touch the future, touch a child. There's one line that I always thought was missing from that. If you want to change the future, teach a child. And your gift of this education will have a fundamental change, not just on the children, but on their parenting skills, on their opportunity to have a productive, joyful life, which will have a ripple effect on their children and their chances of graduating from high school and going on to college and being good parents. The ripple effect of this gift is uncalculable. So thank you very much for putting our kids first. All right. Y'all are awesome. Yeah. Okay, we have more recognitions, though. So, for our next recognition, I'd like to recognize OCPS's Professional Learning Department for receiving the 2022 Outstanding Professional Learning Practices Award. The team received the award during the Learning Forward, not Leaning Forward, Learning Forward Fall Conference in St. Petersburg last month. The staff developed and implemented a comprehensive system-wide induction and mentoring program to better support our OCPS teachers. Mentors implemented learning by working with beginning teachers to improve teaching practices and student outcomes. The impact of this professional learning innovation for inducting and mentoring new teachers has seen an increase already in the amount of time spent in rigorous mentoring experiences and has resulted in improved teaching practices and student outcomes. The organization's mission is to build and establish The organization's mission is to build and establish and support and sustain highly effective professional learning. The Professional Learning Association also is committed to excellence in teaching, leading, and learning. Congratulations to Associate Superintendent Dr. Lee Ann Bradshaw and her professional learning team. Thank you for all that you do to empower our district's educators to implement practices for student-centered approach. And is Dr. Bradshaw here with us?
She's behind the podium.
Dr. Bradshaw, come on up to the microphone.
Thank you. This is really the work of an amazing team in our instructional development department, and the work that they have done and continue to refine year after year. And I am really honored to be able to work with them each day. And what is most notable is that the Learning Forward Florida gave this award, and they gave one to the state of Florida. And with that, it recognizes the work of this outstanding team that are committed to our teachers and to our students in Orange County. So I'm very proud of them. So thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
I would also like to recognize Digital Learning and Library Media Program Specialist Kelly Williams. Kelly, are you here? There you are. Thank you. Kelly is the winner of the 2022 Florida Power Library School Award. She was honored at the awards. She was honored with the award when she was the Windermere High School's Library Media Specialist before she received a district promotion. Windermere High is one of 4 new member schools in the state of Florida that were named Florida Power Library Schools. Yay, I knew that was coming over here. Yeah. Kelly and Windermere High were recognized for developing an outstanding library program that is fully integrated into the school's curriculum and enhances and supports the school's educational operations. Windermere High also joins the rank of 5 other OCPS schools that have received this prestigious distinction in the past. Kudos to Kelly and Windermere High for receiving this well-deserved award. Kelly, you have anything you'd like to say? No, thank you. That was a resounding no, thank you. Well, let's hear it for Kelly and Windermere High. You want to come up, Kelly, so we can get a picture? Thank you. And the, yes, and the team. So proud of you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Leanne.
Bring Leanne's team up there.
Yeah, please. Huh? It's beautiful.
So pretty.
We have our entire department here tonight.
Oh.
So happy you all are here.
They all have their pink on.
So proud of you.
And every one of you has pink somewhere.
Yeah, so proud of you.
Oh, she just had to get back a little further. Okay. Thank you. Congratulations. Yes. We also have a number of proclamations to celebrate this evening. We are proclaiming September 2022 as Attendance Awareness Month in Orange County Public Schools. We are proclaiming October 2022 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Orange County Public Schools. Nobody missed that here. We are proclaiming October 2022 as Cybersecurity Awareness Month here in Orange County Public Schools. And we do wish we had Robert with us to celebrate. We are proclaiming October 2022 as LGBTQ+ Awareness and History Month here in Orange County Public Schools, and proudly so. We are proclaiming October 2022 as National Bullying Prevention Month in Orange County Public Schools. We're proclaiming October 2022 as National Principals Month in Orange County Public Schools. And I would ask Dr. Alale Vasquez? Alele. I asked you that at our last meeting. I'm so sorry, and I still have not memorized how to pronounce your name. She is president of the Orange County Association of School Administrators, and she's going to come forward and read the proclamation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Board Chair Jacobs, Superintendent Vasquez, and board members. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today to proclaim National Principals Month. As the proud principal of Village Park Elementary and president of the Orange County Association of School Administrators, I feel honored to represent the OCPS Warriors. And I'm not referring to a school mascot. I am talking about the principal warriors, the people that wake up every morning without knowing what is waiting for them at school, those who work through a pandemic without knowing what the future held, but they just made it happen. The ones that leave their families to run shelters and serve others, the ones leaving the safety of their home to assess their second home, their school, to welcome their extended family after a natural disaster. And we do all this and so much more because we love serving our communities, supporting our teachers, working with our staff, and educating and changing the lives of our students. In our buildings, every person matters. And we do this with the most genuine love, passion, and commitment because what we do changes the world. So for me, it's an honor to be reading this today, the proclamation of National Principals Month, October 2022. Whereas the School Board of Orange County, Florida, honors and recognizes principals for their positive impact on learning by setting high standards for instruction, achievement, character, and a positive school culture. And whereas OCPS principals are responsible for the daily operation of their schools, which includes supporting and overseeing the effective implementation of academic and social-emotional learning, building meaningful relationships with students, families, teachers, community partners, and others, and fostering a student-centered school culture. And whereas principals serve as the educational leader of their schools, demonstrating knowledge of effective instructional strategies and fulfilling the learning and developmental needs of students, teachers, and staff. Whereas principals work diligently to create a positive school climate that is inviting to students, families, and the community, and provide a safe and supportive environment where students, teachers, and staff learn, grow, and achieve. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the School Board of Orange County, Florida, does hereby proclaim October 2022 as National Principals Month in Orange County Public Schools and encourages local citizens to honor and recognize the contributions of our school principals who ensure every student has a promising and successful future. Thank you for all your support and unconditional support for being here for all the principals. On behalf of all the principals in Orange County, thank you. We appreciate you.
And Dr. Vasquez, on behalf of the board, we thank you and all the principals. I'm amazed at how hard they work. The more I learn, the more in awe I am of the work our principals do. So let me hear from Vice Chair Byrd.
Thank you, Chair. And I love this proclamation because it touches on every single thing that is so important about our principals. I have tremendous respect for the job that you all have to do every day. It is such a difficult job. I was actually out of school today, meeting with a principal, and we were talking about how difficult this job is and how it's a lot like how we have on the board so many competing things that we in our mind that we have to worry about, the kids, the parents, community, all these different things. And it's the same exact way with the principal. The principal is not just has to worry about the academic success of those students. She has to worry about their mental health and how they're doing. She has to worry about the staff and how the staff is doing, and the parents, and then the community out there, and then the business partners, like you said, going out into the community. I've got principals that show up at chamber events, because they're trying to build business partnerships. And like you said, missing the time away from their families, when you're at swim meets at a random school that's not your school at 8 o'clock at night and, on the weekends. And hey, this hurricane was another perfect example of when I think about those principals leaving their families to go stay at shelters to make sure other families were safe. It's just the jobs you do every day. It's just tremendous, and it's so much. It's so pivotal to what we do here to make sure that our children are successful. So we as a board are so thankful for everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Next, we're proclaiming October 1st through the 15th as Disability History Awareness Weeks in Orange County Public Schools. We are proclaiming October 21st as Dyslexia. What a great word to stumble on. Dyslexia Awareness Day in Orange County Public Schools. And I'm going to ask Jen Knopf, president of the Reed Charitable Foundation, to come forward and read the proclamation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Jacobs, board members, Dr. Vasquez, staff, and members of the public. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak today in advance of reading this proclamation. My name is Jen Knopf, and I am the president and the founding director of Reed Charitable Foundation. We are a local nonprofit that is committed to making an immediate and meaningful impact for students with dyslexia and all struggling readers. As you may know, dyslexia is the longest known and most common learning difference that exists, impacting 1 in 5 students in our district and in the U.S. Unfortunately, due to a number of preventable factors, the most significant being teachers get little to no knowledge or training about dyslexia in their pre-service programs. Many students with dyslexia often never get identified or learn to read, write, and spell proficiently, despite their unequivocal ability to be able to learn these skills. And these bright students are often incorrectly viewed as lazy or not trying hard enough. And as a result, these kiddos often come to view themselves as not smart and incapable of learning, when nothing could be further from the truth. Further, these students are often uniquely gifted in areas like architecture, engineering, entrepreneurship and innovation, athletics, and the arts. However, these strengths are rarely talked about and often get sidelined due to the very preventable struggles they experience with reading in school. When my joyful and bright son, Reed, who is here tonight, was diagnosed with dyslexia almost 5 years ago, I was told he needed Orton Gillingham, which is also known as OG. At the time, there was only one person in Central Florida in our area who is certified at any level in the Orton Gillingham Academy to work with a student with dyslexia. And there was not a single school, not public or private, that was properly equipped to help. Further, as I continued to research, I learned that the state of literacy for all students in this country, not just dyslexic students, is at a crisis level and has been for decades, with at least 66% of our nation's fourth graders not reading at grade level. And just last month, the NAEP reported that our national reading scores are the worst they have been in 30 years. And the Florida Department of Education just reported that only 25% of Florida's third graders are proficient readers or better. In other words, there really is a literacy crisis. It does not just impact dyslexic students, but they are the most impacted. And reading is an essential life skill that is the single most important factor in determining the success of a child long term. Illiteracy is the major direct causal link to so many of the societal issues that we face in our modern world, including the school to prison pipeline, mental health issues, and food and housing insecurity, just to name a few. In an effort to improve these numbers, in less than 2 years, Reed Charitable Foundation has trained and provided implementation to support to just over 500 OCPS educators and administrators, covering 57 different elementary schools, 1 middle school, and 1 high school for free. currently impacting approximately 11,044 students in Orange County Public Schools. This is an investment on the part of our organization of over $640,000 donated to the district and its educators to improve reading scores for all of its students. I'm proud to say that OCPS also now has 4 OG model schools that have trained their entire K through 2nd grade teams, all their reading interventionists, reading coaches, and their administrators to improve reading outcomes for all of their students, including those with dyslexia. And I would welcome the opportunity to come back and speak about those results. I want to say thank you to John Wright, who I saw here this evening and was trying to wave you down in the OCPS Office of Innovation, for being willing to get Orton Gillingham into the hands of the teachers who so desperately want it, and vicariously the kiddos who so desperately need it. I also want to thank all of you on behalf of all the families on the dyslexia journey and their kiddos and the teachers who support them. Thank you for entering this proclamation. By acknowledging Dyslexia Awareness Day, you are acknowledging the 1 in every 5 students in this district, their families, and their teachers who are directly impacted. By raising awareness around the truth about dyslexia, how very, very common it is, and acknowledging both the struggles as well as the very undeniable strengths, it increases the likelihood that all families impacted will get the support they need and find the academic success they are so very capable of. I also want to give a special thanks to Board Member Gallo, who was the champion of this proclamation and has been incredibly responsive to the need to improve reading outcomes for all kiddos, including those with dyslexia district-wide. I personally am very grateful to you for your commitment, advocacy, and your heart for all students to succeed. The proclamation for Dyslexia Awareness Day is October 21st, 2022. Whereas dyslexia is the most common learning disorder that affects 1 in 5 people, regardless of race, gender, age, or socioeconomic status. And whereas dyslexia is a specific learning disorder that is neurobiological in origin and is typically characterized by unexpected difficulties with word recognition, reading, spelling, and decoding abilities. And whereas literacy skills are critical to educational success, and research has revealed that students who read below grade level by 3rd grade are 4 times more likely to not graduate from high school. And whereas early diagnosis and identification of dyslexia is critical to ensure that individuals who have been diagnosed with the learning disorder receive direct, explicit, and evidence-based intervention that leads to the promotion of self-awareness and self-empowerment, and provision of necessary accommodations to ensure school and life success. And whereas residents are urged to offer support to those affected by dyslexia and recognize the dedicated efforts of those educators, educational leaders, and organizations who are working to raise awareness and understanding, along with providing access to best-in-class training and practices to ensure early assessments and interventions are in place to achieve the best outcomes for students with dyslexia. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the School Board of Orange County, Florida does hereby proclaim October 21st, 2022 as Dyslexia Awareness Day in Orange County Public Schools. Thank you so much.
What a wonderful job you did in educating all of us at the same time. I regret to say that I had no idea that it was that prevalent. And I'm so thankful to you and your contributions. What did I say? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, gosh, every now and then I say something wrong, and then behind me they'll start whispering. I did not, we wouldn't be where we are without you and without the contributions of the READ organization. And Member Gallo, thank you so much for championing this. Member Gallo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank the READ Foundation and Jen in particular. She has been such a great resource of of information and knowledge. And Mr. Wright and I have had many conversations about OG. We've seen such success in some of our schools where it's implemented with fidelity, not just with children with dyslexia, but those that are struggling readers. OG seems to be having a profound effect, and it's hard to there's a lot of processes that you have to go through to really kind of diagnose a child with dyslexia. By using OG and those type of methods, OG's the best, you're helping them even before you know that they have a problem. So they're already getting the resources and the help they need before that we can identify that they have a problem. So we're so thankful. This fell into my lap. I was a new board member, and I got a call from a crying grandmother out of Wedgefield who had a child that was dyslexia, and the child was behind, and she's like, can you help me? What can you do? And I talked to everybody I knew, and I'm like, is there a school? Is there a charter school? Is there we couldn't, they kind of tiered out on services. So we were kind of limited in what we could do. And so I was just desperately trying to help this grandmother, and I couldn't. And so I thought, well, that's never an acceptable answer. So we've got to find a way that I never have to tell a grandmother I don't know how to help you, because there was no schools. There's no private schools. Well, there's a private school, but it's $25,000. I don't know about y'all, but I certainly don't have $25,000, and this mom didn't either to send him to school. So the work that you're doing is so important, because it will impact so many students, and we'll see the fruit of your labors, because I know how hard you work on this behalf. So thank you so much for your partnership with OCPS.
And Member Felder?
Thank you so much for your work in this endeavor. As a public school teacher, during the summer, I directed a show that I wrote called Hip Hop Cinderella. And I had a lady who worked in the lunchroom at Dr. Phillips who had a grandson who wanted to be in the play. But she didn't know how to tell me that he had dyslexia. She just kept telling me that he just read things and it's not the way it is. We really want to be in the play, but he can't read, he can't remember. And so I went to his house in my community, and I said, you want to be in the play? He said, yeah, I do. I said, so I created a role for him, and I put all of his lines on tape. I said, just like you, and I put it to music. I said, you like this song? Okay, I want you to sing these lines to this song. Just listen to the tape. And after doing that, I had an opportunity to meet Danny Glover. And I spent, after they did that last taping of Lethal Weapon 3 or 4 in Orlando, when they broke down City Hall. I don't know how I was able to do it, but I got in his trailer. And I said, I need to talk to you. I said, I'm a teacher. I said, I want to ask you, I've read some things about how you learn your lines, and he told me that he suffered from dyslexia. He said he did, Whoopi Goldberg, and Tom Cruise. And when I got the information from him, and I began to go back in my mind the many roles he's had, and Whoopi Goldberg has achieved an Oscar for The Color Purple. I said, as a teacher, I said, we have to do better. And sometimes teachers, for the most part, they know that I don't have all the ins and outs, but when we're working with our students, it doesn't take us long to determine what the situation is. But I tell all of the students that I've had that have that experience, I give them the examples of these actors and these people who are functioning and how they can learn. And so, I want to thank this district for recognizing that as a need, and the fact that we need to do all that we can to champion our children, no matter what the disability is. And I share with them that all of us at some point have some type of disability, but we learn how to work through it. And that was a defining moment for me when I had that little boy who wanted to be in the play so bad, but the words were running. He just couldn't do it. I said, I got you. I'm going to do this, put it on tape. And when and Danny Glover was so tired, but I didn't care. I said, I need to talk with you. I spent an hour with him after he'd come off set, and he began to share with me what that meant, what he had gone through growing up, and how he was determined to do something with his life. And he's a profound actor to this day. So thank you for coming and for sharing. Thank you, Board Member Gallo, for being a champion for this very concern. Thank you.
And for anyone in the audience who is questioning Member Felder that doesn't know her very well, trust me, she made her way in. Nobody gets to say no to Member Felder. And she does it with I don't know, with such a style. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you have to listen to her. It's just that you want to. You're compelled to. Member Castor-Dental.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. All right. Thank you, Jen, for bringing this to the district and all of your effort in funding and providing that training for our teachers. It's not easy to get trainings into the district from outside, but you have filled a need that is definitely there. And as an former elementary teacher, I often struggled with students I had who were dyslexic and brilliant, and I could see their whole self-esteem tied up with their struggle. And it's not a disability, it's more of a difference. We just have to find the avenue to help them. But it's so many teachers struggle with how to do what's best for the kids who have dyslexia, and I still am in touch with students who worked extra hard to just overcome it, using the strategies that we had in the past that were not always beneficial or the most helpful. So thank you for really looking out for so many kids. The stats that you read earlier are true. Mm-hmm. And they're, our reading, it is everything to our kids, as you mentioned. It's everything to their future. And the statistics in our state highlight a big problem. And we can look at our graduation rates, which are great, but we have to wonder what's happening. How are we graduating so many kids who are falling behind in reading? So this, I think, is one of the solutions. I think this will really help. And I thank Mr. Wright for giving that entryway into our district, and your blessing and your guidance, I think, really helped pave the way. So thank you. Thank you.
It could not have been done without Assistant Superintendent Dr. Wright and John Wright. And I will say teachers always say to us that they can't believe they didn't know this. And I took the training maybe 4 years ago. My background is as an attorney. I've made my living off of reading, writing, and spelling. I have a 16-year-old at Winter Park High School in the IB program, and all of it came very easy to her as well. I would not know about this problem if I did not have my son, who is equally as bright and equally as capable and articulate. He did go from the 6th percentile to the 90th percentile in English language arts because he is getting Orton Gillingham to fidelity 5 days a week during the school day. It does work. And you should not have to have incredible privilege and resources to be able to learn how to read, write, and spell. And so we are committed to making sure that all of our kids, regardless of their socioeconomic status or what school they're districted for, are able to get this type of instruction.
But before you walk away, one of the things that you mentioned early on is that when you're getting your education degree, this isn't one of the things that you're taught.
That's right.
So I'm sure you're probably already working on how do we take this upstream. And if there's anything that we can do to support that effort, please let us know.
Thank you for that. We have trained teachers and professors both at UCF, and there are a number of them that are supporting, of course, ACE, and so we've got another little partnership that's about to happen, and also at Rollins. I will say initially I thought as a lawyer that I would advocate on the legislative side, but really our mission is to make an immediate difference because what our kiddos do not have is time for us to waste. So we went more the school route and supporting teachers to be able to help kiddos right away. But of course, there's a huge legislative component to this that would be huge in terms of both at the pre-service levels, teachers getting this information to begin with. Then we don't have to go back and back-train teachers in this type of knowledge. They would already be coming out of the pre-service programs with it. So I would love to talk to you all about that.
Thank you, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
And Vice Chair has a comment to make.
Yeah, I just a huge proponent. You know, we've been doing it at some of our schools, and Apopka Zellwood is phenomenal in doing it, and the results, as you say, I want you to come back and share those results, like you said, because the results are phenomenal. I've been a huge proponent of this program since my years in teaching. I was a reading specialist, and you know, it's been around forever, and it was used a lot, and then it wasn't. And it is so important. And like you said, I think for me, the biggest concern is that it's not accessible to every socioeconomic level. It is, I have friends that have gotten private tutoring with it, and they can afford to do that. And those kids, their kids have excelled because of it. And with 1 in 5 of our children being diagnosed with dyslexia, I don't think we can afford not to use programs like this.
And it really does benefit all kiddos.
All kids,
you know,
all
it really
of
is
them.
the
Yes.
science of how every human being learns to read best, and 95% of the human population is cognitively able to read. And I definitely thought, prior to knowing what I know now, you know, if a child was struggling or they, you know, weren't being successful in school, that either maybe they weren't smart enough or there must be something going on at home. I can't tell you the complete change of thought that I have had. It was just, I guess, easy to think that until I had a kiddo with all of the resources and read to in utero, and that was not going to change the fact that he was not going to learn to read that way. I've heard somebody say before, it's kind of like learning to play an instrument. Just because you sit and listen to someone play the piano doesn't mean that you learn how to play. You have to be explicitly taught, typically, how to be able to learn to play an instrument, and reading is really no different. And I resisted the urge to talk about the data at Zellwood. I resisted it. Proud of myself. Very rarely can I keep it short and sweet on this, but thank you all so much.
We'll see you back for it.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Please bring me back, but thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
Real quick, and I wasn't quite done.
Go ahead. Oh,
I just wanted, no, it's okay. I just wanted to challenge us to, you know, several years ago, we started screening all of our kids for gifted, which was a fantastic idea. I would love for us to figure out a way to screen all of our kids for dyslexia. I think it's something that we just can't ignore when we're trying to close these gaps and we're trying to bring the reading levels up.
That is a great idea. That is a wonderful idea. We're screening our children for heart defects at a much lower rate, and a worthwhile program. And like you said, we screen our children for gifted. That's a great idea.
And it's only 2% of the population. Yeah. So there is, in one of the bills that passed, there was a dyslexia screener put in some of the progress monitoring in like pre-K. And so it won't tell you if a child has dyslexia, but it'll tell you if they have the markers for it. So we wouldn't even have to, we could just start there. We could just start with those children that have the markers and do a little bit more deeper dive and screen them for dyslexia and see what we can do.
It definitely gives teachers, it empowers teachers to be able to see, you know, identify markers for dyslexia. And then in parent-teacher conferences, you feel, what we hear teachers say all the time is, I feel more like a professional, that I can really sit down across from a parent and say, you know, these are the things that I'm seeing in the classroom. It also equips teachers with questions to ask parents about things that teachers may not see that were developmental as kiddos were growing up and prior to starting school. And some simple things like being able to tie your shoelaces. is a really common, a difficulty in learning to tie your shoelaces is really a common symptom of dyslexia. It's not something that teachers would necessarily think to ask, but once you go through the training, you know some of these things. And then you can say to a parent, I cannot diagnose your child with dyslexia, but I would encourage you that if there's an opportunity either in the district or privately, you might want to have your child assessed. And in the meantime, if the school does have teachers that are trained, they can also say, but we've got you. You're going to be okay. That is not what we were told 5 years ago. And we had to figure it out. And if I could do anything to prevent that type of school trauma and struggle for other families and kiddos, that's why we exist. And we really can do that. And we'd love to partner to make it happen.
Vice Chair?
Just to kind of add on to that, another whole piece to this is also children that have the vision issues like the tracking and the convergence insufficiency. That was something my daughter had who wasn't reading on grade level. And same thing, read to in utero. No, it made no sense why she wasn't reading, but it was, one eye not communicating with the brain, had to go through vision therapy, read like that. So, and that was something it doesn't show up on regular eye exams. It's something. Luckily, her eye doctor happened to see her eyes twitch at the midline during an eye exam. But though, if there's ways we can screen for these kinds of things, because these are all very, very common, and they're absolutely getting in the way of our kids learning to read. So I really am thankful for the work you do, and thank you for coming here tonight to enlighten all of us and to bring this important message forward.
Absolutely, because it starts with awareness. Thank you. Okay, our next proclamation, we're proclaiming October 5th, 2022 as World Teachers Day here in Orange County Public Schools. And I am thrilled to be able to invite up to the podium Clinton McCracken, President of the Orange County Teachers Association, to come forward and read the proclamation. Clinton, welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, hang on, I can make that a little taller. Just give me a second. I should be able to make that taller.
Maybe it's as high as it goes.
Well, I had it as low as it goes a minute ago, so maybe it just doesn't go.
That's all right. That's all right. Good evening, Superintendent Vasquez, Chair Jacobs, and members of the board. Thank you for asking me to read this proclamation. I'm especially happy and proud to read this today because we've seen in the last couple of weeks the difference that our teachers can make every regular day and then also in the days after a crisis. Not just for their own students, but also for their students' families, for our community, and for each other when someone is in need. Teachers are a cornerstone of our civil society, and we all know they make a difference in so many lives, both inside their classrooms and beyond those walls every day. The proclamation for World Teachers Day for October 5th, 2022. Whereas the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, launched World Teachers Day as a global event in 1994, and whereas the adoption of the 1966 UNESCO recommendation concerning the status of teachers sets the precedent regarding the rights and responsibilities of teachers, and whereas UNESCO calls upon governments to make teaching a first-choice profession for young people, and whereas UNESCO celebrates the work of dedicated teachers around the world who continue to strive every day to ensure that inclusive and equitable quality education and the promotion of lifelong learning opportunities for all becomes a reality in every corner of the globe. And whereas we are proud and appreciate the dedication of our teachers who provide an inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning, now therefore be it resolved, the School Board of Orange County, Florida does hereby proclaim October 5th, 2022 as World Teachers Day in Orange County Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you. We have spent so much time talking, but to not spend a minute talking about the cornerstone of our society, I love the way you put that. Clinton, and every chance I get, I remind people that in a democratic and free society such as ours, we cannot exist but for public education. There just is no way that our children would grow up to have the kind of jobs that are out there today. There's no way that they would be able to support themselves. And everything that we know and love in this nation would cease to exist in a very, very short period of time, as we'd have basically anarchy. And I know that sounds crazy, but 88% of our kids here in Orange County go to public schools. And if there weren't public schools, most of those children would not be getting an education. So to every one of the teachers, that you and all of them that come in every day and work so hard, and sometimes in such extremely difficult situations in some classrooms, as I heard during our dinner this evening, I cannot say thank you enough to what they do and how much we will continue to try to make our efforts known in Tallahassee, and to see how much more money we can get so that we can better reward our teachers to make the education, the profession of education ought to be one of the highest sought professions. But for the pay, it probably would be. So can't have labor negotiations right here, but just know that we're always on your side, and we will continue to do everything we can, and we look forward to working together with you as we move forward. Any other comments? And if not, no, we still have more proclamations. October is a very proclamation-heavy month, but they're all, as you can tell, if you've been sitting here, they're all extremely important. So our next proclamation is October 9th through the 15th as Fire Prevention Week in Orange County Public Schools. October 15th is White Cane Awareness Day in Orange County Public Schools. If anybody's not aware of what that is the day that we remember that if somebody is walking with a cane, you need to give them extra latitude in navigating, especially crossing streets. As my mother has now reached that stage in life, I'm even more aware of how important it is for us to be cognizant of people with canes and the struggles they have, and the unfortunate opportunity for tripping and falling, that we just need to be mindful when we're around them, that we're extra cautious for them. October 16th through the 22nd is America's Safe Schools Week in Orange County Public Schools. I say this, I think, every year. Every week is Safe Schools Week in Orange County Public Schools. We proclaim October 17th through the 21st as School Bus Safety Week in Orange County Public Schools. We proclaim October 20th as Lights On After School Day, and October 23rd through the 31st as Red Ribbon Week in Orange County Public Schools. And that ends our proclamations. We are, Dr. Vasquez, do you have any newly appointed administrators?
I do, Madam Chair. We have Renee Joy Green is the new assistant principal at Ocoee High School. We have Tanner Eric Gesso, the new assistant principal at Sunblaze Elementary. We have Catherine Joan Pickles, the new assistant principal at Apopka High School. And Tim Schuler is the new principal at Magnolia School. Congratulations.
Before we move on, Member Gallo, did you have a final comment?
I was just giving a shout out to the Lights After School proclamation. After school is such an integral part of what we do and we need to do to make sure that children have a safe place to be, and that they're in a safe environment, learning, they're getting fed. It's just so important. And I'm always happy when we do the lights on after dark for our after school programs, and then attendance. That one that was my proclamation. That one's near and dear to my heart, because we talk a lot about it. Well, we haven't been, because it's we've been through a lot with the pandemic and then the hurricane, but attendance, having your students in school, sitting in a chair learning, research has shown that it matters, attendance matters. And I know as parents, sometimes we don't see it that way. I personally was one of those parents. When my child was in kindergarten or first grade, I would think nothing of taking them out to go to Disney or doing something. It wasn't until my child got into high school and I learned about chronic absenteeism and the effects that it has on their academic gains and their ability to be successful in life that I told my daughter she couldn't miss any more school. She was so mad. She was so mad because it was Chancellor Oliva, who did this big presentation on chronic absenteeism. So I told her, I'm sorry, by definition, you're chronically absent. So no, you must go to school. And she was not happy for her junior or senior year, but she did attend school more often. So knowledge is power.
Awesome. All right. We are going to start the more formal portion of our meeting. For those of you who came to join us and don't want to sit through the rest of this meeting, this would be the time to exit. For those of you who want to learn more about what's going on in Orange County Public Schools, we certainly invite you to stay. Huh? Oh, yeah. What time is that? 7:30? Huh.
I was teasing. I told John that I was going to call for the order and make you read all the proclamations.
Oh, gosh.
Just because he was trying to get home to a game. But I didn't, John.
All right. Dr. Vasquez, I'm going to call on you for the strategic plan update. And about how many minutes do you think that will take? I don't care. I just want to know.
I think it's probably going to be about, it's less than 10 minutes, and then questions from the board.
All right.
Ready?
Yes.
I am pleased to be able to have our team share with you some of the incredible work under Dr. Schuler's leadership that has been taking place in the area of parent and family engagement. Incredible number of resources that we have and opportunities for our families to be able to engage and be more active in their child's learning. Dr. Schuler?
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Jacobs, board members, Superintendent Vasquez, staff, and members of the public. This evening's strategic plan update will provide information about the parent and family engagement and the Parent Academy in Orange County Public Schools. The Parent Academy has been in existence since 2013 and has positively impacted families and community members in OCF. The promise we make to every family comes from our vision to ensure every student has a promising and successful future. And the plan we execute comes from our mission. With the support of families and the community, we create enriching and diverse pathways to lead our students to success. At this time, I will turn the presentation over to Dr. Leanne Bradshaw, Associate Superintendent, Professional Learning, and Ms. Mario Milano, Director of Family Engagement and Digital Outreach. They are responsible for leading this team that is here with us this evening and this work. Thank you.
Thank you.
The past 2 years have brought to light how critical family engagement is. Each school provides the foundation and the direct connection to family engagement in their schools with their families. The district level support to schools with our parent and family engagement involves many teams across OCPS working together to create a cohesive, collaborative, and coordinated system of supports for families. In collaboration with other district departments, schools and the parent and family engagement team work together to provide Tier 1 support for all schools and all families, and Tier 2 support for all Title I schools and Title I families. For example, through Tier 1 supports, the parent and family engagement team offers all families the Parent Academies. We even have an OCPS Families channel and a parent portal with multiple resources for our schools and our families. In Tier 2, the Parent and Family Engagement Team supports Title I schools by utilizing parent engagement liaisons. The team then provides side-by-side support to the engagement liaisons with their Link to Learning school events and parent support. In Tier 3, multiple OCPS departments support specialized needs of students and families through parent engagement liaisons, social workers, parent outreach, and targeted resources. The Parent Academy umbrella has been expanded and falls under the Tier 1 supports for all families. The full-day conferences are known as the Parent Academy events. The expanded approach was developed to serve all families at all schools by consolidating trainings provided by various departments under the Parent Academy banner with 5 types of trainings shown above and available in 3 formats: live in person, live online, and on demand. Today we will review each type of training and share the dates with you. A handout of the same information has been provided to you for your convenience. Let's start with the full-day conferences. There are 3 in-person and 1 live online full-day conferences being held this year. Each begins at 9 a.m. and ends at 1 p.m. The first conference was held on Saturday, September 17th at Colonial High School for all K-12 families, and the topic was A Guide for a Successful School Year. A total of 370 participants attended. The second conference, entitled The Big Idea, after the IDEA legislation, will be held on Saturday, October 15th, online for all K-12 families of students participating in the Exceptional Student Education Program. The third conference will be on Saturday, February 4th, and this conference, the topic will be Supporting the Struggle and Accelerating Mastery. The fourth and final full-day conference will be Saturday, May 6th, and will focus on families of rising 6th and 9th graders, where the topic will be transitioning to middle and high school. The links to register can be found on the Parent Academy homepage, parentacademy.ocps.net, and can also be found within the OCPS website, Facebook, Twitter, and school websites. New this year, select sessions at each conference will be provided fully in Spanish through our partnership with the Multilingual Services, and select sessions will also be live streamed to the district Facebook page to accommodate families who cannot attend in person. The Learn Where You Live regional events will continue this year, but they will return to an in-person format. All events will be from 6 to 7 p.m., and the topic will be consistent throughout the learning communities to support implementation of the new best standards. Simultaneous locations will take place on each date. A session on the best standards will be recorded and made available to families who are unable to attend in person. Also, this year, will be live closed captioning for families in their native language through PowerPoint Live and multilingual group chat through Microsoft Translator. The Lunch and Learns will continue on Facebook at noon for 30 minutes on select Wednesdays. All Lunch and Learn sessions are recorded and made available to schools as a resource. For example, the Lunch and Learn topic in August was intended to provide a centralized message for all families about the new progress monitoring assessments. Over 300 families attended live, and as of September 2nd, the recording had been viewed over 7,200 times. The Lunch and Learn in September focused on understanding the new health consent forms and has been viewed over 2,200 times since September 24th. As Dr. Schuler mentioned, Ms. Milano joined our team as the Director of Family Engagement and Digital Outreach in July. We recognized our team that is here with us tonight in pink, and they are here as our supporters. They support us in all of our events. But now I will ask Ms. Milano to come up and share with you the specific resources that Teaching and Learning Department has to support our schools on their family engagement projects. Ms. Milano.
Good evening. This year, to make things easier for all families, parent engagement sessions developed by teaching and learning departments other than parent and family engagement have been united under one heading, Virtual Mini Academies. In your packet, you'll see that there are over 50 unique sessions listed to meet the diverse needs of families at all schools in your districts. Through a partnership with Multilingual Services, all virtual mini academies will be accessible to families in multiple languages and through closed captioning. To provide multiple options and flexible timing for our families, we have created the OCPS Families YouTube channel. We encourage everyone to subscribe. The OCPS Families channel curates tips and training videos for all families and serves as a recording repository for all district-provided family training sessions. For Tier 2 supports, Title I schools will receive direct support from the Parent and Family Engagement Team in utilizing the Dual Capacity Building Framework for Family School Partnerships. Curricular content from the National Standards for Family School Partnerships will be used by engagement liaisons to provide training to staff and families on specific high-impact family engagement strategies. And finally, to pace and guide the work, schools will be provided with a This Month in the Family Resource Center guide. This chart further illustrates the family engagement work of our school and district teams. New in the 2022-23 school year, specifically identified schools will test innovations in parent and family engagement using Title IV funding. In K through second grade, families will have the opportunity to learn about shared reading practices that they can use with their children while reading at bedtime. In second and third grades, families will have the opportunity to participate in fluency games together at home. In all identified schools, parents and caretakers will have the opportunity to practice successful two-way communication using an innovative messaging system called Talking Points. Talking Points allows teachers and families to translate communications in real time and will prompt parents and staff to communicate with each other if there has been extended lapse in time in communication. Finally, ESSER funds will be utilized to implement Triple P. Triple P stands for Positive Parenting Program. Triple P aims to equip parents with the skills and confidence they need to be self-sufficient and to be able to manage common family issues, such as child behavior and development. However, we recognize that there are families in every school with unique needs. For these instances, there is a comprehensive network of Tier 3 supports spread out across all of our teaching and learning departments. For example, there have been over 400 families impacted by the hurricane. Social Services has collaborated with the OCPS Foundation to support these families. All student services personnel are well versed in both OCPS and community resources, and social workers collaborate with school administrators to identify families in need. At this time, I'll now turn it back over to Superintendent Vasquez for closing comments and to the school board for questions and discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Muriel, Leanne, and Kathy for the tremendous work that's been done in the area of family engagement. When I look back to what we were doing just prior to the pandemic and how we've been able to expand despite the challenges that we faced over the last 2 years, I really am very impressed and grateful for the work of the team in trying to continue to connect our families with resources and supports to be able to engage with us in the education of their child. Madam Chair, we now turn it over to the board for any questions.
Awesome. The board is lit up. Let's start with Member Gould.
So I want to share what I love first, and then some things that I think we're really missing the mark on. So one, the comprehensive network, because we know good learning can't happen if there are big problems at home and there's no resolution for them, because education's not the top priority then. So love that, and want to see that at every and that link at every single communication we send out. I'd love to see that. Love the Lunch and Learns and your library that you're building. I think it's absolutely incredible. You know, people can't always make it at the times we want them to, and to have that resource library is absolutely wonderful to have at their fingertips. Where I have some concerns, when we originally talked about this 110 years ago, when I started on the board, one of the things we wanted to make sure is that this was a tool for all families to know what was available to them within the school district. Not necessarily just teach them what we want them to know about legislative changes or what we want them to do, but what they want them to do. And some of these titles, I don't think have a lot of meaning to the majority of our families. They mean something to us because we know the interpretation of them. Supporting the struggle and accelerating mastery. I can tell you, even in my district where they're very focused and competitive, a lot of them would not know what those words mean. And so why would I need to go, and what is my kid going to get out of it? And what am I going to get out of it for my kid? But if it said experiential learning and pathways to a career, that is something that I can tell you my district would turn out for. And I think every other district would too, because that's what we understand the benefit of those two things are, not the thing. So I don't take this as harsh criticism, but transitioning to middle and high school, get that all day long. I think everybody understands that. The IDEA, again, very specific groups that are going to be affected by that. The skills to a successful year, it says K-12. I don't know if I need that or not, based on that. And then when we talk about the English language, arts, and mathematics, sure, but if my kid's highly performing, I'm not coming to that session. So what is it in the content that is available that's going to help me to help them grow, whether it's especially CTE. I mean, I'm never not going to say the word CTE at every board meeting. It's just going to happen. But we can't be career pathing kids, which is what our community is asking. It's what higher education is doing now, and we have to be in that language. I know we have to respond to the legislative stuff, but we can do that and bury that. We need to come up with the leads that is going to really attract people, and always, always, always send them to choice and CTE and those robust programs that are going to keep kids engaged. Anything that's experiential is where you're going to get excitement around it. So, sorry, those are my comments.
That's great feedback.
Thank you. Member Castor-Dental?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for all the work you put into this. What I appreciate is the obvious collaboration of different departments to put this together. And that's one of our values in the district, and it's evident. So I appreciate that. I like that there are so many formats for parents to engage, and the parent engagement area is something that has taken a real hit since the pandemic and now the hurricane on top of that. Our families are really struggling. So ways to get our parents and families back into the routines of school events and structured homework at home, all of those things, we need to, put those routines back in place, and I appreciate all of that. And also the translated formats as well, so that we can reach more families, I think is great. I have a couple questions. As far as the different events, parent academies, lunch and learns, are we able to track participation of the events and compare it to our, what rate or a percent of parents are actually attending. How are we communicating these events and targeting them to different groups of parents? Or is it just like a blanket communication, or are we really focusing in and making sure they understand? And how do we know that we're reaching the groups that would benefit the most? Is there a way to really target those and know that those are the ones who are coming to our events? And are these also advertised not just on our district website, but on the school websites? Because a lot of parents never come to the district website. They just go right to the school website.
I appreciate your questions. Those were some of the same questions I asked when I first joined this team as a parent of 4 daughters. So I know, pray for all of us. But what I can tell you is that this year the team has really taken on a different approach to marketing. So for example, looking at the Big Idea Conference, we are specifically sending messages to families who are in the exceptional student education community. When we're looking at the What is ESOL program, which was a workshop we did a few weeks back, we specifically looked at marketing to families who had been in the ESOL program less than 1 year. So it would be really relevant to them. And we've been doing that in partnership with communications so that Connect Orange messages don't go always to the whole district. They just go to the families that need them. Your second question about marketing, I also found interesting because many of the places that I go as a mom to find things to do with my kiddos are not the OCPS website. So we are working on posting our events to local community calendars, for example, the Orlando Fun Calendar. We also promote them on Facebook. We now use Facebook marketing ads, which are using AI to target specific parents who have searches. So for example, if you searched for information about financial aid, you got an ad about our financial aid night, which happened just the other night and had 483 families turn out. And so those are things that we have changed. Your other question, however, about tracking attendance, right now we are tracking attendance in terms of the number of people who have attended each event, what school they come from, what grades their children are in. What we are working to establish is a more robust dashboard that tells us the number of unique families that attend. Because as in all things with parent and family engagement, sometimes we have fans that visit us more than once. And so it's important to understand not just the total number, but the unique number of families we're reaching.
Awesome, excellent. Member Gallo, I am sorry, I skipped over you. Member Gallo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to point out that at one time I was a sub for Mariel Milano. And she was in kindergarten many, many, many moons ago.
I had her children and they were
I just wanted, for those of you who did not know, she used to call on me to be a sub. That probably makes me a little extra special, but I'm just saying.
She was a great sub.
I was a good sub. And she taught kindergarten, so I get bonus points. So just a couple, and I agree with some of what Member Gould said. The Big Idea Conference, the parents with unique abilities, they love that. Like that's their place where they get to share out best practices, where they learn. It's a comforting place for them. So I'll be interested to see how well that's attended. On the Lunch and Learn, so Facebook Lives, do they have to go back to our Facebook page to watch them? Do we capture them on YouTube? Is it on our website? Like, where do they go back to watch those videos?
So that's a great question. So they are automatically captured and archived on the OCPS Facebook page, but we also download the videos and re-upload them to the OCPS Families channel, knowing full well that not everybody uses Facebook as that platform. So they can find them there as well. And then we typically include them also in our Tech Tip newsletters. And we are working, this year we did work to put the calendar invites on every school website as well. So they are automatically on every school's calendar.
Wonderful. And then, so I think to Member Gould's point, I think when the new progress monitoring, I would imagine, and I'm just guessing, that number probably jumped up a lot after their students took those assessments and they were coming home talking about them, and then parents said, oh, wait, let me go look, which is probably why we had such a good reach on that. So that's awesome. And then I wanted to ask about the best standards, because that's just not really a sexy topic. So, I mean, it's not. That's probably a poor choice of words, but I mean, it's not a grabber. It's not going to grab you and bring you in to make you want to attend it. But it is important because your child will be taught different standards. They will be learning in a new way. And I know that parents were frustrated with the math curriculum and how we were teaching math previously, but they have short memory. So I'm just interested in what will that look like, and how will you be engaging parents?
Great question. It was identified as a priority because we are implementing for the first time in grades 3 through 12 this year. I agree, maybe not always the topic that pulls everyone in, and we can work on that in our messaging. We worked with the curriculum and digital learning team, and they developed that session and piloted it at our initial Parent Academy at Colonial High School, and it was actually standing room only for both sessions. I agree with you. I thought, like, oh boy, I wonder if they're going to get no, absolutely the opposite. Parents packed that room more so than other topics and displayed a real interest. And what we learned was that they were interested in grade level specific information about tips for each grade level. So it was wonderful to hear their feedback on how to improve the session.
That's wonderful. That's great. I'm glad to see that they're wanting to be involved and learn that information. And then I just have one more question. On page 13, it says PEL/SEL. I know what SEL stands for. What's PEL?
So actually, it's Parent Engagement Liaison and Secondary Engagement Liaison.
Oh, so it's not social.
It is not.
I thought it was social emotional learning. I'm like, is that parent emotional learning? Are we doing that as well? So
It's a good idea.
I know. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the work that y'all are doing. It's so important that we engage our parents, that we bring them into the schools, that we communicate with them. It makes them happier. It makes the kids more successful. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Gallo. Vice Chair.
Thank you. And I have all these mini which, by the way, the mini academies, fantastic. Because as much as I love our full day conferences, my big concern for my community is transportation. And there, Dr. Vasquez and I were just at the Hope Community Center last night with a room full of probably 100 migrant workers, immigrants, and none of them have transportation. So I knew that those were not accessible to them. So I love these mini academies that are all online, and these topics some of them are just so great. I'm so ecstatic that I wrote on the front, how are we marketing? So I'm thrilled to hear that you are doing the Facebook ads. I still, though, want to hear about this more. Being a mom in OCPS, I've gotten a call or two maybe about some of the parent academies. I think I've gotten like one or two, but I knew nothing. And it looks like the first one is this week. The 13th?
The virtual mini academy?
The mini academy, the virtual ones. Mm-hmm. And I didn't hear about any of this as a parent.
Okay.
So I still feel like we've got to get this stuff out, because I know there are parents that would want to watch all of these questions I get all the time. The college admissions, how to stand out, the financial aid, the struggle is real, improving nightly homework routines. Come on. Those are all things that the parents need help with. They really do. So I think it's phenomenal. My request would be just to a little bit more on mental health. I think that parents are really struggling with how to help their kids, or how to talk to their kids about issues, or how to deal with their kids when they're having problems with social media or whatever. There's just so many issues that I think that's a real area of concern for parents. So that would be my one only request. But thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Member Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I love the Parent Academy. I remember when I was a teacher at Colonial, and then when I went on September, I saw, that we multiply, it's in the gym, now it's not in the cafeteria anymore. So that made me feel, excited about the Parent Academy. I have the same concern about transportation. I think that we have, homeless family. I don't know if we have a list of the parents that attend to the Parent Academy so we can compare, which groups are going. Do we have enough ESOL students, ESC, homeless students? So that way we can be more strategic when we try to reach out to them, and then maybe use other sites like maybe community centers or maybe, and other places. Go to the community to complex, to maybe have a bus. I don't know. You're more creative than me on that one, but maybe diversifying, the parent academies in different places, I think will be an asset. Maybe, we have a lot of parents that they don't have any type of transportation, or maybe, grandparents. Or I also want to clarify something about the app that you have. I think that you have an app for translations. I think it was pretty cool. You said, no, talking whatever language you want, and if they have the app, they're gonna receive that information in their native language. I think that you didn't talk about that, so I think that would be cool if all of us, know about that app, and also, about the data on the families that attend, and if you are looking for future sites that are not the schools. Maybe sometimes, it's more, I'm thinking about Azalia, for example. Maybe Colonial High School, is very approachable for the people who live in the surroundings, but maybe the community center in Iconalahachi. I'm just thinking about my district. I don't know, maybe you think, Hope Centers, for example, in Apopka, we can be there for our undocumented families, and they will feel safe being there. So yeah, those are my questions, but thank you so much. I love Parent Academy.
We'll definitely look into that. And what she is referencing is that inside of Microsoft PowerPoint Live, when a family is viewing the PowerPoint, they can select the language that they would like to hear or view the captioning in for. So that's something that has really opened up accessibility for our families. We'd be happy to share more about it with you in the future.
That's awesome.
And when we have, now that we're back face-to-face with our Parent Academy, our Title I schools do have busing for all of their parents. And the marketing, we're working on that with the special populations, but the buses are provided for our Title I schools and our migrant families, and we had a large number of migrant families and Title I schools that brought children and to the Youth Academy, as well as their parents to the full-day conference.
Do we have...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Do we have access to that data in terms of which group, needs more, I guess, more help?
We can share with you the attendance data from the last two parent academies, and the federal programs team does work directly with our migrant families and the migrant board for parents, and actually hosts their board meetings at our parent academy and brings them. In May, the group that actually won the highest attendance award was our migrant families.
Perfect.
So we're very proud of that partnership.
And are you looking for future sites that are not schools?
Yes, actually, our team just talked about that. So they see me looking at them. We've been talking about utilizing the Orange County community centers and also some of our City of Orlando community centers, because we know that's where parents are. And one of my philosophies is to go where they are.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Wonderful presentation. Board members have also... Well, I'm sorry, Member Colbert. Let's hear from you first.
I just had to chime in. My questions have been answered, but Ms. Milano, great addition to the team. And Dr. Bradshaw and your team, really well done. These are the things we've been looking for, but I'm especially happy to see you as part of the team. I can see the difference that you're making already. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Colbert. One last question. I did want to say, I think the feedback from the board was excellent as well. So we really appreciate the presentation. We appreciate all the new things you're doing. And the busing, I didn't even realize that was available. So that is a huge benefit to that population. There was one thing in your presentation, I couldn't find it on the hard copy. Was it talking points? It was, and I didn't understand how that's going to work.
So Talking Points is a new program. I'll let Muriel explain it to you. It's very interesting.
So Talking Points is a similar software to what you might be familiar with Remind or Class Dojo, if you're familiar with those. However, it's a nonprofit research-based software, and the purpose behind it is it allows simultaneous translation between the teacher in whatever their native language is and the parent in whatever their native language is without the need for an external interpreter. However, in addition to that, what it does, which I love, is it provides some nudges. And what those nudges mean is that if I, as a parent, have not reached out to my child's teacher in 3 months, I get busy, I'm a parent. It nudges me and it says, hey, at this time of year, it might be helpful if you reached out to your child's teacher and asked the following question. And it also has the ability to provide those same nudges to staff if needed. So for example, when I was a kindergarten teacher, it might help me to understand that I had reached out personally to 17 families, but maybe I had not reached out to a new family. So it provides a school administrator a different look at family engagement data.
So let me ask you a follow-up question then on that. It sounds wonderful, but I can easily picture the parent getting nudged, making the phone call, or emailing the teacher maybe not being terribly receptive to the email or the call. Is there a way that the teacher knows that this nudge is happening on this end? Because it would be really unfortunate if they reached out and they got a not so friendly reaction.
That's a great question. It's actually a mobile app. So the nudge, it's like getting a alert, I guess is a good way to say it. And it's a voluntary participation. And so if the teacher is volunteering to participate in that process, then they would have that app and then they would know that is coming. Okay. So that's a little, just like the way our teachers voluntarily choose to participate in either Remind or Class Dojo or another app of their choice.
Okay, that answers that question. Yeah, thank you so much. Member Casterdental? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Another question I forgot to ask is, how are the topics selected for all of these academies? Do parents suggest any, or how do you come up with all of these?
That is a great question. So we have a district parent leadership committee, and that committee helps us to understand what topics are important to families. There are representatives from each learning community that are recommended by the area superintendents. So they each get to select 1 or 2 parents, and they give us ideas. In addition, there are surveys at each parent academy which ask about what additional topics parents might be interested in, and then we utilize that in our planning as well.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yes, Vice Chair?
Sorry.
That's okay.
The Talking Points, it just got me thinking, it's a mobile app. Could it be put on an iPad?
It has several formats, and we can certainly get the board some more information about that if you're interested, but it does have a web-based and a mobile component that are available.
Okay, I'm just wondering if it's maybe something that we could use in our front offices.
Oh.
For when parents come in to communicate with front office staff in their native language. Maybe if there was like an iPad on the front office desk. I don't know.
Last call. Okay. Thank you again. Excellent presentation from beginning to end.
And thank you for all of your support and coming and assisting.
No, thank you for your support. Okay. Dr. Vasquez, I think I asked you at pre-agenda, but do we have any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda.
With no changes, is there a motion to adopt the agenda as advertised? Motion by Member Gallo. Is there a second? Second by Member Gould, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We have no public comment, is that correct? Okay.
In person or cards received.
And we have no public hearings. So we are on the consent agenda adoption. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda? Motion by Member Lopez, seconded by Member Colbert. All in favor, please. Comment? Please, go ahead. Thank you. I'm so unaccustomed to that. I'm sorry. I should have asked.
I know. I was wondering, how do I sneak this in?
You got to be quick.
All right. Yeah, I was ready.
You were ready.
Before we vote, I just wanted to point out that on this consent agenda is the $5 million for electric school buses that we're having. It's a grant that we're participating in, and that is something that we've been looking forward to for a long time, and we're finally able to access those funds. So I'm excited about the electric school buses, and that's it for now. I'll do my other stuff later. But really, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Dr. Jenkins, oh my God. Oh my God.
Bad name
I think I'm getting tired. And it's so early. And the Yankees haven't even started playing yet. Superintendent Vest.
Thank you. I have a few announcements. I'm going to start off with some positive news. Orange County Public Schools and the University of Central Florida are being awarded the 2022 Dr. Shirley Schwartz Urban Education Impact Award at the Council of Great City Schools. And that is for the tremendous work on our pipeline under the incredible leadership of our Chief of Staff. And so we are just thrilled that we will be honored at the conference for the work, and it really has produced wonderful results for our pre-teachers and those once they actually become our in-service teachers. So excited about that recognition. On the 20th of October, I will be at the State Board of Education meeting along with Dr. Armbruster, Mr. Bond, and his team to present to the State Board of Education some comments and information about the plans we have for our 3 schools that received an F. We did have a site visit a few weeks ago, and the BSI team was very impressed with what was happening in our schools. And so we are being given 5 minutes to speak briefly about the plans for those 3 schools. I want to, again, just say thank you for the incredible work that took place at all levels. This past week and the weekend, trying to recover from Hurricane Ian. We had incredible support from Classroom Teachers Association, OSPA, as we were really moving an elementary school into a high school, and without their feedback and support, it really would not have been as smooth of a transition. Additionally, all of our teachers, custodians, our principals, facilities, our food and nutrition workers, custodians, our executive policy group. I was just so impressed with the collaboration and the endless energy everyone had just to focus on our families, our students, our community, and ready to help and get us back in school. So I want to publicly thank everyone. Now, I think you want to hear a little bit about makeup days. And so I am ready to announce again, in conjunction with OSPA and the Classroom Teachers Association, we have identified the makeup days. We currently, because of the number of instructional minutes that we have, are able to waive one of the 4 days. We will use Friday, October 28th as one makeup day, and then we will extend the following Wednesdays so that we will not have early dismissal on the following Wednesdays, November 9th, December 7th, January 18th, February the 1st, February the 15th, March the 22nd, and May 10th. Thank you for all those that worked on this, and I know everyone is grateful that we are not touching Thanksgiving week, the superintendent included in that. I also want to give you a brief update on our response to the Office of Safe Schools. As you are aware, they had a visit about a month ago in response to findings from the grand jury, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas grand jury report. They came and visited with us. They visited some schools. They met with myself and with Dr. Jenkins. We provided extensive documentation as it relates to the findings in the report, and then they subsequently responded with a letter. As a result of their letter, we have sent a letter to them requesting additional information. The board has a copy of that letter. It was submitted to Tim Hay late this afternoon. Specifically, we're asking for clarification on the documents that were reviewed so that we can accurately address the findings of not having timely reporting. We provided documents that contradicted some of their findings, and so in order for us to best respond and ensure that we are in compliance, we are requesting documents from them as to what they reviewed in making that determination. Additionally, they provided us with a spreadsheet that gave us incidences where they said we overreported. In that document, as part of our review, we found that there were several incidences that were duplicates. We also found that many of those were not to be reported as CESR incidences by definition of the Office of Safe Schools and what they deem to be weapons that need to be reported. We do acknowledge that we have some incidences where there was misreporting, but we do not acknowledge that there is a significant problem with our reporting. Once we receive information from them, we'll be able to then develop what that plan is to rectify those issues. We have also reached out to the Office of Safe Schools so that we can have them review our code of conduct and identify any additional trainings that we might need. And finally, we are going to be revisiting the structure that we currently have with our discipline, specifically reporting, and seeing if we cannot be more efficient in how we are verifying that the information that is being submitted, number one, meets the CESR definitions, and number two, is being accurately input into the system. That is my report.
Thank you. Thank you. Member Gallo?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I want to give a shout out to Bridget, Dr. Williams over there. She is constantly coming in my office with like great ideas and telling me the great things that she's doing with UCF and with Rollins. She's always coming in asking if we could do this legislatively. Could we make this happen legislatively? She gives us great ideas for us to look at. Some of the things that you'll see on our platform, others will have already made it to the FSBA legislative platform that'll be released later this month. So I just wanted to give her kudos for all her hard work. If we have vacancies in Orange County, and we know that we do, it's not for the lack of hard work on Dr. Williams' part, because she leaves no stone unturned, to the point where I text her, I'm like, I got a live one, I'm giving him your number. I got one for you, and she'll call him and make sure she ropes him in. So we appreciate you, Dr. Williams. And then I wanted to say, I also wanted to give a shout out to everybody, Dr. Leslie and everybody, and Clinton and Ron and everybody who showed up on Monday and made the transition from Riverdale to East River so wonderful. I was there, as was Chair Jacobs and Dr. Vasquez, and it was hard. It's hard to move schools. It's hard to go from an elementary school to a high school for the teachers, for their families, for their students. And the district handled it with grace. It handled it with compassion. And I know that there was a lot of conversations and a lot of hard decisions that went into that. I know a lot of work. I don't think anybody had a weekend off in the district. So I just want to say thank you. I think it's been a lot in the first month that Dr. Vasquez has been our superintendent, and she really stepped up, and it was noticed. It was noticed at that meeting on Monday. The compassion and the grace which you operated was very much appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Gallo. Member Casterdental.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was going to say the same thing, that I appreciated that the district and everyone who was involved worked together so well. When I saw the pictures of Riverdale underwater, I didn't know how they could, what could you possibly do? And I spoke with the superintendent soon after, and she'd already been communicating with different people on her team, and I had so many questions, and I had talked to some teachers from Riverdale. That was where I last taught. And I know that it's a tight family there, but Dr. Vasquez had a lot of things already figured out. And it really helped go smoothly, being able to make such those decisions quickly. And I know you gave credit then to your team for coming up with so many ideas, and you did give credit to other people and who were there to help. And I was happy to see Member Gallo and Chair Jacobs there on that Monday as well. That and Superintendent, that says so much to the Riverdale family that you were there. Even if you weren't lugging boxes or anything at that time, your presence let them know how serious this was, and you really helped it go smoothly. And I think the kids, instead of thinking that this was, a really difficult time, they kind of felt special. And, so I appreciate how that was done. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Casterdental. Vice Chair.
Ditto. That was everything I was going to say. This is why I love this board, because we always are on the same page. I was just going to take a minute to not only brag on all of the staff through this whole hurricane, but Dr. Vasquez again, because of her leadership. And if you didn't watch your Monday with Maria yet from yesterday, watch it, because it was phenomenal. Had me in tears. It was so good. I cannot even begin to express how excited I am by her leadership time and time again. And I just wanted to take a minute to share with you all our visit last night to the Hope Community Center. I had been out there, I don't know, maybe like a month ago, and I met with all the staff, and they shared with me a lot of information and a lot of struggles that they're dealing with, that their families are dealing with. And so I said, hold that. I'm going to bring Dr. Vasquez out here, and we're going to sit with you, and we're going to, I want you to share all of this with her, because she's the one that can help make all these changes and help figure these things out. So we did. We invited her out. We had 1 hour with the staff. It actually ran over a little bit. They had a lot to share. They were very honest, which was wonderful. They had it all prepared, what they were going to say. Each one took turns. It gave us tremendous information. And then we met with the community after. And we were running late from the staff part, but when we got into the room with the community, the room was full. And this was like 7:30 last night, right? This is a work night. And this room, I mean, probably 50, 60 people, probably more than that. Parents, kids were there. Just community members that are, struggling. So many, the Hope Community Center right now is working with 200 unaccompanied minors. And they have 100 on the waiting list. That's just in the area where the Hope Center is. 200 unaccompanied minors. These are kids that their parents literally had no choice but to send their babies alone or with someone to make a huge pilgrimage to a different country. That took sometimes a long time, and then some of them had to go to detention centers for a long time, and then they're coming to our schools now. And they shared with us how, they have to work to pay back the money that it costs to send them there. It was, I can't even begin to tell you how much was just gathered from this evening. But my whole point to this whole thing, with bringing this up, was our new superintendent it was so moving to these people to know that she shares, she understands, so much of what they're going through. She has such empathy for them. She's able to communicate with them. Without the translator like I had to have. But, and she's so caring, and they could see that, and they felt that these people were willing, these people don't have transportation cars. They were all there last night, packed this room, just to be able to share, for some of them to get up and to be able to share their story with her. And she was there to listen, and she was taking notes, and she communicated back to them, and she reassured them that there are things that we can work on right away, and there's things that are going to take time, and she got names, and she got their information, and just, anyway, I just had to say how incredibly blessed we are to have this leader now, and I'm so glad for our board, our students, and our families, and it's just, anyway, that was what I had to share. Thank you.
All right, well, I was going to close this out, and now it's just like, good night. Huh? Oh, general, yeah, no, we're not done. We're not done.
Oh, I thought
we're still talking about the superintendent. We'll get to.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was going to close this out on this subject. So I'm going to have another conversation with our superintendent. Did you take any staff with you?
No, I did not. Not this time. We had met virtually, and Kathy had actually gone out there with a team to also try and assist. And, there are real issues that these families are facing. But I do think there are some immediate things that we can do to assist with some of the challenges that they have, like registration, getting our folks to actually go to the center and register them, and then we could probably give them like a slip of paper that all they have to do is take it to their home school, and they don't have to worry about the documents that they have to present. Counseling, we definitely need a lot of work with counseling, and we need to help people understand the challenges that they're facing, because these are children that are living with strangers. Okay, it's not necessarily, very few are with family members. So you think about, 12, 13-year-old, 15-year-old living in a home that is not theirs, without their parents, working at night to be able to pay back the the money that their parents spent in order to save them. Because if not, they would be in sex trafficking, or they would be in gangs. They're forming, young militia. And that's information a lot of people don't have. And sometimes in our efforts to try and help, because we don't understand, we sometimes make it worse. And I think that we can work together to help everyone understand some of the trials and tribulations and better support them. But I'm very thankful for the invitation because, we're here to serve. And if we can do something just for one child right now, then that's one child that's going to be better, and they're going to be able to impact other people. But it's work that's going to take us a while.
You talked about, we have a program, we just started it, I'm trying to remember what it's called, when law enforcement knows that there's maybe been a domestic violence or a shooting or something that would have impacted one of our kids, to let the school know so we can let the teacher know. What is that called again?
Handle with care.
Handle with care. I mean, it almost sounds like we need handle with care type of program for those students that are coming into the classrooms, so that we can do our best to educate each of those teachers about what you just said. I mean, just in the amount of time that you and Dr. Vasquez talked was enough time to communicate all you need to communicate, so that the teachers that are receiving these kids and the coaches and everybody else see them through a very, very different lens. And I think that's going to be very, very helpful if we can do that. I was asking if you brought staff with you because I do worry. I worry about our superintendent because she is doing so much, and I want you to bring staff with you so that they're taking the notes, okay? Because I want you to last. You're too good to be true right this minute. I also want to say that in terms of whoever it was, Member Castor-Dental, whoever it was that said you were glad to see Member Gallo and I there. We would not have been there but for getting an invitation from Dr. Vasquez. We wouldn't have known it was happening. So I thank you for inviting both of us. I am extremely appreciative that CTA, that Clinton, you were there, that Ron was there. I think that show of unity was needed and really, really important. And thank you for your comments when you were there. I think, in times of struggle and strife, you need a really strong confidence in the organization, and you certainly brought that about. So, and we're here to support you and help you any way we can. With that, Ms. Enval, do you have a report? Okay, then and we have no committee reports. And it's 7:15, and John might still be able to make it home, so I'm going to adjourn this meeting.
Don't get it on.
Okay, great meeting. Wonderful. Thank you guys for all your incredible work. God bless you.